Now at 9, honoring a hero. People from Worcester all the way down to the Dominican Republic are remembering Officer Manny Familia. He gave his life in the line of duty. You are taking a live look outside. A procession will soon leave the funeral home. The hearse is there, headed to the church for the funeral, and then fallen Officer Manny Familia will be laid to rest today.
That's right. He drowned in a pond while trying to save a teen last week. People from across the state have been coming together to honor this hero. His wake yesterday was full of tearful tributes, hundreds paying their respects to his family, friends, and fellow officers. And this morning, we're following the latest on his final farewell today, as well as the show of support.
Our Team 7 coverage begins with Emily Pritchard. Emily.
Well, today is all about honoring the life, sacrifice, and service of Officer Manny Familia. If you take a live look back behind me here, we are right out in front of the funeral home. You can see a number of officers on their motorcycles ready to lead this procession with the hearse off in the background. We've also witnessed Officer Familia's family make their way out of the funeral home there and into some of these vehicles that are standing by waiting to take part in this procession. You are looking at that hearse live as it's making this U-turn onto Plantation Street, led there by a number of flowers, of course, honoring Officer Familia, his service. His police cruiser there with the black bunting making its way, and now the hearse carrying 38-year-old Officer Manny Familia to his final resting place, making its way to St. John's Church. That is where that funeral mass will be held at 10 o'clock this morning. And as this hearse is making its way down the street here towards that first stoplight, you can see the number of people that are gathered along the roadway here, thanking him for his service, his selflessness, and of course, thinking of his family left behind. And one of those cars that just went by, you can see it says RIP 267. That, of course, is honoring his service badge number, and his family also following behind here.
Just look at the sidewalks. They're lined. Look at all those people who have come out this morning. You can see a lot of them waving American flags. Many people have brought their children out to pay their respects as well. Again, this procession headed towards St. John's Church right now.
We do want to bring in 7's Jonathan Hall. He's live at the church this morning in Worcester. And Jonathan, if you could just tell us what it's like where you are.
Hi guys, good morning. Although police are all along the route, they are here as well. And the music's starting to play now in front of historic St. John's Church. As they test the sound system, we'll zoom in, give you a shot of some of the police honor guards that are here.
Now here live as we watch the procession, they are beginning to arrive at the Worcester Police Department. Kimberly Bookman is live there for us this morning. Kimberly, can you tell us what you're seeing going on there now?
Amanda, we just saw the hearse and the procession pass here on Belmont Street. What it does is it's going to go around and under a bridge and go up this ramp that comes here to the police department. I'm moving out of the way because you can see it has just arrived at this hour. This is the hearse carrying the body of fallen officer Manny Familia. You can see all of these officers. They are standing at attention. They are here to pay respect to one of their fellow officers. We are watching the casket. It is being moved from the hearse to this horse-drawn carriage. It's very quiet out here. This is really a private moment for members of the Worcester Police Department. They are then going to take his casket, and again, they're going to leave the police department and go past Union Square, where we understand police officers from all over Massachusetts and the country will salute him before he arrives at St. John's Catholic Church.
You're taking a live look from the Worcester Police Department where you see the casket of Officer Familia was just put onto this horse-drawn carriage, and you see an overhead shot now as this horse-drawn carriage and the casket make its way to St. John's Church.
We understand when they get to the church, only the Worcester police officers will be allowed inside the church. That's to give Manny's friends and family as much room as possible. They want to make sure they get all of those folks in. So to make sure that happens, it's a big church, but they're going to only allow the Worcester police officers in at that time. So that's the scene out here as we wait for the procession to arrive, and then this will continue. So Amaka and Amanda, back to you.
Byron, thank you. And really, this is quite a scene that you're taking a look out here as you see police officers lining the streets on both sides there where Byron is there on Union Street. And overhead, you see the horse-drawn carriage making its way slowly down the road. The horse-drawn carriage rounding the corner here, and you see police just lining a sea of black and blue here in Worcester. What's so incredible is that the community came together so quickly after his passing on Friday. They started a GoFundMe within days. It's already raised more than $130,000. And then this sign, "We salute Officer Familia," you see there hanging with hearts on the side. It's just a testament to how this community from really all over New England is coming together. This is just a powerful sight of the American flag being hung right there near the church as we await that carriage.
And embracing each other as well. I can't imagine the devastation and pain they're feeling today as they stand there and salute a man they served beside. And he was only with the department for 5 years, which is a short amount of time, but he made such an impact there on the force. We've heard that over and over again from fellow officers. We know he was a crisis negotiator, and he was studying to be on the SWAT team as well. So even though he hadn't been with the Worcester Police Department for very long, people knew him. They loved his smile, his laugh, his personality, and the way that he served his own community as well by volunteering and just being present and there for others in his area as well.
Yeah, and when we spoke with his cousin earlier this week, Alex Maracalo, who's also a Worcester police officer himself, he said that Officer Familia had always wanted to be a police officer.
We are showing you the procession live here this morning. You can see the casket on the back of that horse-drawn carriage. We started off in the hearse at the funeral home earlier this morning, just about an hour ago, and then it was moved onto the carriage right by the Worcester Police Department, which is a spot where we've seen an outpouring of support over the last several days. Flags are at half staff, of course. There's also a memorial outside where people have been leaving mementos and tributes to Officer Familia.
And we know that there was also a GoFundMe that was started, I think, 2 days after his passing on Friday. It's raised more than $130,000 for the family of Officer Familia, and you just heard the bells toll. Let's listen in. The thing that I keep thinking of as we've been covering this procession now for a little bit more than an hour, and now as family and friends make their way into St. John's Church here to be seated. The funeral will get underway in just a moment. And of course, we'll have that for you. What you're watching right now is police officers, one by one, just solemnly walking inside this church and getting ready to take their seat as they remember one of their own, a fallen brother who served alongside them for 5 years, a short time, but obviously leaving behind a huge impact.
He was very involved within the police department, a crisis negotiator, such an important role to play within a police department. He was training to be on the SWAT team as well. Clearly just wanted to do everything he could to serve his community. His family's told us that this was his dream. This was his goal, to be a police officer when he grew up. So he was living that out in a place that he loved and surrounded by people who loved him.